that on video.
Yeah.
I hope I did. Maybe I didn't.
Well, I guess that's what happens when your coolant's under pressure.
Yeah. Did you undo the thing on top?
No.
Oh.
I just popped out the sensor.
Oh.
I didn't say to do that in the video, so.
Oh. What's going on, Dub Chasers? We're back from a long hiatus of install videos to bring you one of our most anticipated videos, which is installing a IS38 turbo inside Tyler's Mk7 GTI. Where's the turbo? This is not exact. It's a what? An OEM plus?
IS38 plus, so it just has.
Here, get in here and tell the people.
So this is just an IS38 plus. So instead of a 270 degree thrust bearing, it has a 360 degree thrust bearing. So basically, it's just better for longevity of the turbo. It doesn't really provide any performance gains.
Sweet. Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, the IS38 is essentially the Golf R turbo. And it's a very popular swap onto the Mk7 platform or any MQB platform because it's essentially just a bolt-in swap. And what that will do is allow you to get a little bit more power. What we're going to be doing today is most likely struggling through this so that way you don't have to. So stay tuned. All right, Tyler, what have you done so far?
All right, so far I've removed the intake, the turbo inlet, and then I started removing the coil pack. So I pulled the coils out, got all the grounds removed, and now I'm starting to remove the hard coolant line. So I started with this clamp, got that clamp, and then I did all the T30s to loosen up the hard line. I just have the one more back here, and once I get that off, we'll be able to pull the coolant line forward and start disassembling for turbo removal.
So essentially the whole process is, well, first you took out the intake, but what we're trying to do is basically just disconnect every single line from the turbo so we can take the old one out, plop the new one in, correct?
Yep.
So, and that involves the coolant lines, oil lines, and then eventually the exhaust. You already got the intake and the turbo inlet pipe off. So yeah, really it just looks like a majority of this is tedious line removal.
Yes. This hard line is going to be probably the hardest thing to remove, but it shouldn't be too bad. And then wiggling the turbo out is going to be a pain, but
yeah,
it's not going to be too bad.
What about, I know we just had the car raised up to undo the coolant.
Yeah, so I popped out the coolant temp sensor just to drain a little bit of coolant because otherwise you'll spill it out of the coolant lines from the turbo.
So what else do you need to do underneath the car?
Underneath, I think it's a little bit easier to reach some of the heat shield bolts. But other than that, it's really not too much. There's not much you really have to do under the car. So if you don't have a lift, you could do this at home. It would be a lot harder and a pain in the butt, but you can do it.
Nice. Okay, so now you're just still working on that coolant line?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's get it out. Time lapse of you getting the line out.
Oh, that's not going to be able to be replaced. It's kind of a pain.
Oh, you kidding me? I'm sure your car's still covered under warranty.
Oh, yeah.
So we got these two little connectors down here that Tyler's meaty hand is in front of. And we're kind of just working our way down. And you got that one. So we got these two off down here. Just kind of get at them with, what'd you do? Just get at them with the pick and a flathead?
Yeah, I used the pick to pop out the little gray clip, and then I used a flathead to pop them out.
So it was these three, and then, was that all of them, or you got a few more?
I think that's all of them for the wiring harness. Unless I have to I might actually have to undo all these valve.
Oh.
I think they're like the valve something sensors. I think I have to undo all those. Yeah, there's a lot of plugs in this wiring harness. Jesus.
Nice.
But yeah, step 1 complete. What was that? Well,
Focus.
all I can say is that it didn't touch the ECU.
Oh my god. There it is.
Right there too.
Your heart racing a little bit?
Yeah, because now I know I can go through this whole install and then my car not start again.
Why didn't you unplug the battery?
It doesn't say. They all leave the battery in. But from what I can tell, that was okay. That was like, it was just something connected. We don't recognize your email. We don't recognize your phone numbers. You don't have an. The ECU wasn't touched. There's no marks on the ECU. The ECU was way over there.
Yep. Oh my god. Okay, so lesson be known. If you are going to do this install like how we are, and you are going to fling this hard line over and lay it this way, make sure it doesn't connect with your positive lead on your battery.
We love electrical.
Oh my god. Okay, heat shield removed.
All right, heat shield is out. This was kind of a pain in the butt. So it uses 4 5mm hex keys. So there's 2 right here. So this is how it's inside the engine. So there's 2 right there, and then you reach these 2 from the back here. So you just reach down by your downpipe and get these 2 out. And then there's a 10mm nut on top here, and then you just unclip. I don't know what kind of line that is. I think it's one of your sensor lines, but you just unclip that, and then this pops right out.
Nice.
This, let me tell you though, getting this guy out is probably the biggest pain. It's almost like they don't want you removing this, but we got it out.
Awesome. So now, what's the next step?
Next step. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I think we undo the downpipe and then start. Like, you don't have to remove the downpipe; you just move it out of the way, and then you start basically unbolting the turbo because you got the 4 nuts that attach it here. Yep. And yeah, then it's just a bunch of lines attached to it.
All right.
Fun stuff.
All right, so right now, Tyler I saw this perfect little window underneath the car. So Tyler what he just did was undid the downpipe mount.
No, it's the turbo bracket.
Turbo bracket, my mistake. Turbo bracket from the bottom of the turbo to the engine block. It's a, what was it?
13 triple square.
13 triple square. His was a little rusty, so we had to do a little blasting with some nice liquid white lithium, basically WD-40.
Yeah.
And yeah, it came right out. All right, so after about 30 minutes of trying to get the top portion of the mount off, we are unable to. We actually found a weird discrepancy, and I'm curious if anyone who's trying this in the comments can see something similar. But so we're, obviously we're not mechanics, so we're following a guide, and in the guide they have a what size?
It's a 6mm Allen.
It's a 6mm Allen up there where that bolt is for us, but for us it's a 13 just regular hex bolt. So it's a weird discrepancy. Curious to see if anyone else's cars has that, if they have either the bolt or the Allen. So we're gonna try and take the turbo out without taking out the arm and see how it goes. All right, so we got an update for you. Our friend who owns this shop is a little bit stronger than Tyler and I, and he was able to get the bolts for the bracket arm
in record time.
In record time. It looked pretty effortless. So successfully, we're getting this out, and then we can go about the rest of the. We'll wait for Tyler to pull it on out. There she is.
Man, fuck this bolt right here.
Yeah, so this is the bolt I was telling about in the last clip. So on the car for the guide that we were looking at, it's an Allen bolt, and this one's just a regular hex bolt. So weird. But that arm is out. Wherever over here, she's out. So now we're doing the bottom
Turbo bolts.
Bottom turbo bolts, and then we gotta do a bunch of lines.
Yep, all the lines that are connected on the turbo. So there's a few hard lines, oil, coolant, all that good stuff. I know those are gonna be kind of a pain in the butt to remove, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Yep, and then we can start wiggling her out. All right, so we got updates.
All right, we got the oil return line off of the off the block. So we pulled it off from the block. It's still connected to the turbo. That was one hell of a, I don't know what you call it, connection to get out. It took a lot of force and a lot of time, but it's finally out. So now basically the only thing left on this turbo is, I think it's the coolant block. So I just have to get the turbo rotated a little bit so it's easier to access, and then I'll just pop that off and this OEM turbo should come out.
Getting that oil return, right? It was returned.
Yeah.
Getting that oil return line off, it would probably help to have more than one person, and make sure you have a long enough flat head that you're able to get underneath and pry it off with.
Yeah.
So we got all of the lines finally removed, and now Tyler's attempting to berth the IS-20. It's a very tight fit.
Yeah, we got a couple of the valve lift actuators removed to hopefully allow it to be a little bit easier to wiggle out. So you don't have to remove your downpipe, but my downpipe's seeming like it's in the way. I don't think I'm going to remove it because that sounds like a pain in the ass to do right now. You can still hear my coolant line pissing. There's so much coolant on the floor in here. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's going to be a real fun cleanup after this job. All the tools are covered in grease and...
Look underneath. You get a... Oh, yeah. Yep. Nice little puddle. Stuck right here. All right, smile for the camera.
Here it is. We worked the IS-20 out.
Oh my God, we got it out. I don't have my watch on anymore, but that was what, 3.5 hours?
It was a long removal. I knew it was going to be a big job, but it's a big job. As I said earlier, that you could do this without a lift. Don't attempt without a lift. I would not be continuing to do this if I didn't have this lift.
I'd say if you don't have a lift, this is easily a 2 or 3 day job.
Easily. Unless you're really, really mechanically inclined, but still, I wouldn't recommend it. So now it's time to strip this turbo, transfer it all to the IS38.
So yeah, so we have to basically take off all these lines, right?
Yep. Wastegate and the wastegate actuator. And yeah, just all the lines I already removed. Diverter valve and turbo muffler. Just so I had more wiggle room. But yeah, basically ready to go.
Okay, go to the workbench. You can see the clean IS38 in the background, and then this rank, dirty IS-20. Hopefully when you sell this car, the new owner doesn't like stumble across these videos.
He's like, oh, so that's why all that shit's just slapped together. So that explains the zip ties on the coolant lines. No, I don't do stuff that bad.
No.
Not yet, at least.
Not until we're desperate. So something important to note about our IS38 from EQT is, so ours didn't come with a new what was it,
The
wastegate?
wastegate actuator.
A new wastegate actuator. So we have to swap the one from the old turbo to the new one. And essentially what you got to do from that is this long little, basically line that is what the actuator connects to the wastegate. You just have to unscrew it. So you have to undo this bolt, and then just slowly turn the whole line to come out of this little mechanism right here. It's connected to the wastegate.
So what I did is I took my 10mm, cracked that loose, and then this is apparently a 5mm, which we don't have a 5mm wrench, so I just used some pliers and I just kept turning it and turning it. It's really tedious, but eventually it will pop out. It took probably 5-10 minutes of turning.
Yep. So we got that out. Now we're getting the oil line.
I think this one's coolant. Or no, this is oil. Yeah.
Getting an oil line out, and then
another oil line.
Another oil line.
So this is the return, that's the feed.
All right, so we're in one of the workshop rooms, and one of the tables in here has a vise. So pretty much what we did was we put the IS20 on the vise, and we were able to get a little bit more leverage with the oil lines and then the wastegate actuator. Definitely recommend putting the turbo on a vise if you have it. Made it a lot easier. One of the lines, I believe it was this one right here, was a nightmare. So we had to keep pounding a flathead screwdriver in with a rubber mallet. Eventually got it off. We actually bent part of the flange where we bolted in, so we had to bend it back. But IS20 is completely stripped down, so now Tyler is out front working on assembling the IS38. Slides right in. I think the exhaust flange has to be, yeah, there you go. Like, it has to be closer to the block like that. He was like scraping it in almost.
I was just slipped on that fucking coolant.
Let me break down another box and put it there. Alright, sorry camera, you missed it, but we got the new turbo in. Pretty much what we ended up doing, so we ended up removing another valve actuator, this one at the end, so it's a little bit easier to get the exhaust flange in because it was getting caught. And then since we didn't remove the downpipe, it also got stuck on there, so we basically just kind of dove it in cold side first, and then as it got in we twisted it counterclockwise, and then it was able to get into position. So now we are just going to start working on connecting everything. I think Tyler is starting with the diverter valve, and then we have the turbo muffler or turbo muffler delete, just basically a wider diameter, and then yeah, and then just oil and coolant feed and return lines. So our turb ski is mounted up, got the nuts in place holding it in, and we got the diverter valve and the turbo muffler delete. The intake is mounted on, so now it's just all the lines that we need to reconnect as well, and then we can start reassembly. So we're doing good. I feel like I haven't picked up the camera in a while. Just a quick little update. We've been chugging along, getting everything reconnected. Got pretty much most of the lines connected on the turbo, if not all of them.
I'm sure, yeah, all the lines on the turbo are connected at this point.
So all turbo lines are connected. We got the turbo inlet in. Just got the O2 sensor in the turbo in. Just a little helpful tip, it's kind of routed up in here. Very helpful to just unplug that when you're screwing it back in, makes it a little bit easier. We got our wiring loom right here, I guess if you want to call it, what the coil packs plug into. We got all of the actuators back in and plugged in. So now Tyler is working on the heat shield, just getting that back in. Is that are those T30s, T25s?
They are, what is this? A 5mm.
5mm, never mind.
5mm Allen.
Lots of mix and match of different parts.
Yeah, you're going between what, like the 8mm 4 square, 5mm Allen, 6mm Allen, T25s and T30s. Yeah, it's a whole buffet of different stuff to get this shit installed.
Yep, still just kind of like the long, tedious process of getting everything replugged in. So we will check back in later. Okay, so what we've done, we have reconnected everything minus the downpipe, the intake, a heat shield, and a clamp. We are running into a little hiccup with the actuator voltage, the wastegate actuator voltage. We read on a forum online that IS20 actuators, their voltage can't be read unless the car is idling. So we're going to test that. We're going to go for the maiden start. We're having another issue with our downpipe not lining up exactly, but we've kind of tried finagling with that for about 10 minutes. Tyler's a little impatient, so we just flashed the base IS38 tune, and it's going to be very loud. I'm going to stand back in case it goes up in flames too.
Well, she started.
Yeah, she started. She sounded like a tractor.
Dude.
Oh my god.
That's better than my exhaust install went. And this is a turbo. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah, now all the oil and coolant is starting to burn off.
Yeah, I was ready for that. There's gonna be a lot of that to burn off. Alright, now we're connecting to OBD11 to see if
that's oil. Yep.
it just looks really bad. I know it's not bad, but dude, it fucking started. It happened. I can't believe it.
I just have the camera pointed at this
Smoke.
poof of oil getting burnt.
Yeah, there's a lot of oil and coolant all over everything on this car right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it started.
I'm thoroughly impressed right now. Because
We don't have the best track record.
no, not on this car. All the other cars seem to be pretty smooth. You've had some hiccups, but
Yeah.
not too bad.
Alright, so now we're going to switch back to the actuator voltage, see if we can get that dialed in. So I'm just going to explain what we're doing here real quick because I won't be able to get it well on camera. So if you are replacing or swapping over the wastegate actuator from your old turbo to the new one, you're going to have to basically dial in the voltage of how the actuator will open. And what you need to do to monitor this is you need either an OBD11 or VCDS. And for OBD11, it is this sensor name right there. And the range that we're targeting is from 3.6 volts all the way up to 3.9. We're trying to hone in at 3.75. That'll put us perfectly right in the range. Neither of us quite fully understand this topic. There's a lot of other videos and forum posts out there, and we're just kind of following what they have said. One important caveat is that the IS. So essentially what we're doing is we are switching from an IS20 turbo to an IS38. We discovered that the IS20 wastegate actuators, their voltage cannot be read properly unless the car is started. So what we're doing is we're adjusting a little bit, starting the car, turning it off, adjusting a little more, starting the car, turning it back off, and repeating that until we get within the range we want. So looking back on this, probably should have just gotten one with an actuator already installed.
Yes, I highly recommend if you're doing this, buy an IHI turbo because they already come with it, and it's only like $100 more than the EQ2 one was. Highly recommend.
Yeah. But so if you buy a turbo that already has an actuator on it, you can just skip this process entirely. So,
which is huge.
Yep. So now Tyler's gonna go back up, start it. Now I'm gonna check it. Okay, so fast forward about 45 minutes. Got the downpipe on the back of the turbo. Pretty much what we just did was unbolted it from the mid pipe, which gave us a little bit more flexibility. And then we were able to bolt it right up. And that was pretty much the last thing besides the intake. We got the extra heat shield on and the turbo mount as well. So now Tyler's just going to put on the intake.
Yeah, so it should be pretty easy. I've installed this intake countless amounts of times. So, I mean, we're pretty close to being done here. Intake's basically installed already. The arm intake is the way to go. It's really easy to install. And then you just gotta pull this little guy out, connect that there. And then once we tighten down that clamp, she's ready for her first drive. So she's been started and she runs, which is already a win in my book. Like,
let's see if she can build boost. The whole point of a turbo.
After that initial sparks incident,
yep,
I've been stressed out. So that is a huge weight off my shoulders hearing that car start up. So now we just gotta get, I think that's a 7 mil, and then we are ready to rock and roll. Let me find the 7. There it is. She on there tight. Holy cow.
She done?
Yeah.
She's done.
She's done.
I
mean, I'm gonna loosen that because that's like way too tight.
need valve cover.
Alright, yeah, there we go.
Now she's done.
Let's go.
We did it.
We did it in a turbo install. It happened. It happened right here on Dub Chasers. We installed the turbo and the car starts. That's the biggest part. I can't get over that.
All right, now we go for a test drive.
Yeah.
All right, we are out on the maiden voyage on the IS38 swapped Mark 7.5 GTI.
Yeah, she starts spinning tires a lot earlier than she did before.
Yeah, she does. Holy shit.
That's not even pedal to the metal yet. I can't even get traction enough to.
No, I mean, you gotta be careful, all right? It's cold out. Jesus.
No EPC light yet. So that's a good sign. That means our wastegate actuator is set properly. Alright, let's turn off pops and bangs and see how she sounds without pops and bangs.
Oh my god.
I'm spinning through that whole gear, dude. And she woke up.
Yeah, it just keeps on going.
I love the way it sounds so much better without that diverter valve spacer too.
Yeah. Woo.
All right. Man, she's rowdy.
Yeah.
She's very rowdy now. Big time upgrade.
I really want you to take her to the track now. Oh my god.
The intake noise is insane too. I mean, it fucking screams.
You did it.
We did it, dude. I could have done it without you. The fuck.
Dude, we turbo swapped a car. That's crazy.
It was a success.
That is so crazy.
I never thought I would install my own turbo.
Right?
I will say that. I never thought that would happen.
We did it.
We've done it.
We installed a turbo.
I cannot believe it actually happened.
So that took... oh my god. So that took, what, 9 hours?
Just over 9 hours, yeah.
That is crazy. Never did I expect in my or your mechanical capacity that we could turbo swap a car.
No, we struggled to install a fucking downpipe.
Yeah. We struggled to install your turbo inlet pipe a year ago because of the damn O-ring.
Yeah, and now here we are doing a full turbo install.
Yeah. So a few takeaways from this. Definitely, if you have someone that has a lift, we recommend doing that.
Highly.
You could do it on jack stands, but you will not be able to get leverage with certain things. The other thing is if you're swapping your wastegate from an IS20 to the IS38, make sure that you turn on the car to get an accurate reading in your voltage, and then all the other steps with that can be found in various forum and YouTube videos. There's way smarter people than us out there that are able to explain it a lot better, but just make sure you dial in that voltage.
Yeah, that was really stressful because we would adjust it and it would live update, but it would only move between 1.1 and 1.2, like it wasn't actually moving. But then once you fire up the car, it gives you the real reading, but don't adjust it while the car's running, which is what I read. So fire it up, turn it off, get your reading, then adjust, fire it up, turn it off.
Yeah. It's just a tedious process. This whole thing was essentially just a tedious process.
Sure.
We would get something undone, and then something would get stuck, so we'd move on to something else, get that. You just got to be patient with it. You can definitely get it done in one day, but it took us a little over 9 hours.
Yeah, so if you want to do it in one day, make sure you have the whole day set aside for this.
Yeah. But that's going to be it from us. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. We'll do our best to answer them, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you.